guys, this is Abhishek Kumar. So this is the video to understand how digital certificates work and what is their need. So to start with, we need to first download the OpenSSL software that is available at this website. I will give the link in the description, okay? Or you can simply go to Google and type OpenSSL install, and you can follow this website. Binaries OpenSSL wiki. Here we can see OpenSSL for Windows. You may click this link, and here we are going to install the like the full version or the light version, okay, the exe file for the Windows, okay. So after downloading, we install it. Okay, we have downloaded the software. It is already installed on my machine, so I will not go to download it again. After that, what we will be answering in this tutorial is like how RSA algorithm works. Like the whole point that the certificate, the digital certificate came into the world was due to the limitation of the asymmetric key algorithms. Like you would be knowing why it is being used, asymmetric key algorithms. What happens is at the time of the TCP connection, right? So the client says hello, okay. So now what can like let's say let's explain how the it actually works. Like so let's say the client hello, your client hello originally went to the genuine web server. Now the web server will reply with the uh, you with the public key, which is corresponding to its private key, which is stored with himself, okay. Now what will happen, you will encrypt a pre-mastered key, you can say, or it a symmetric key that you are already having, or you would be generating the symmetric key yourself. You want to share it with the web server, okay. So you would be having the public key of the web server in the TCP connection, three-way handshake, right, in the TLS handshake. So what will happen is you will encrypt your symmetric key with the public key of the web server and send it in the second round trip to the web server, okay. Now the web server will get the encrypted symmetric key will cannot be accessed by any intermediate party or man in the middle. Attack won't happen. So it will reach the web server. The web server will decrypt the traffic using its private key and get the symmetric key. Now this is what being asymmetric key being used for. Okay. Now you would say like why we cannot use the asymmetric key itself to itself in the message exchange process. Okay. So it cannot be used as asymmetric key algorithms are like very expensive. They are programmatically very they are very their time complexity is much, their runtime is much, the calculation of the key is and the encryption decryption takes too much time. That's why we use symmetric key. But we use symmetric key, we the both the parties should know the symmetric key, right, which is used both for encryption and decryption, so they must be having the same key on both sides. So for that to exchange we need the asymmetric key. So this is what the use of asymmetric algorithms like. So RSA is one of the asymmetric key exchange algorithms. So there are many more advanced algorithms, but we will be looking in this to understand the whole process. Okay, it will be easier for us. So how RSA algorithm works? It is very necessary for us to know or to go forward. Okay, like we will need to understand how public and private key are used. We do not have to mug up that public key is only used for encryption and private keys for decryption, and how that works. Can private key be used for encryption, public key for decryption? We will see. Okay, okay, here we are. So this is the how the RSA algorithm works. Okay, we will not go much into detail. Like we here select two prime numbers, okay, and we multiply, we obtain the n. Okay, after we multiply p minus 1 q minus 1, we obtain phi of n, which is isolation function. And after that we will be using this phi of n to generate our public, and we will choose the public key ourselves, that is e, which is in the range 1 to phi n, okay, and the gcd of e and phi n should be 1. Okay, now what we will be doing is, so d is the multiplicative inverse of e. Why? Because e cross d, okay, modulo phi of n is 1, congruent to 1. Okay, means if this is some number, okay, then what we will multiply it with, that we will get 1 as the uh, 1 as the remainder uh, after making it modulo with phi of n. Okay, so this is what we want to get. So d is the multiplicative inverse of e. Okay, now here the public key is e comma n and private key is d comma n. Why? Because e is we ourselves chose e, and private key we have generated here, right? E cross d is 1. So what happens is let's say we have a message, right? Let's go here. Let's see the formula first. Like the cipher text is this, right? This is the message m. This should be a number, okay? And e is our public key. So m power e mod n is c, okay? After that, let's see. This is the decryption process. C power d, okay? D is the our private key. So we are decrypting here and modulo m. We get the original message. How? Let's see how. Oh, it is not here. Okay, what will happen is m power e, okay, m power e mod n. Okay, what we are doing, it is c. Let's assume m power e is c. After that, C is here m power e. So m power e power d is m power e into d, right? Mod n. But e into d, okay, e into d, okay. After, so C is replaced with what? M power m power e into d mod n. So as we know, a cross d under modulo n is 1. So we remain here with n. That's why we get the original message. Okay. Now if we like we will see it later. Like you would say, um, can private key be used for encryption, public key for decryption? Like you would have learned that public key is used for encryption and private key for decryption, because public is being shared with all, and private key is not shared. It is only to the entity himself. Okay. So is that possible that private key is used for encryption? Yes, it is possible. It is just the convention to use, not the convention I would say, because public is being shared to all. That's why it is used for decryption. But private key can also be used for decryption. Let's say if I keep here m power d, right, for encryption. Okay, m power d mod n, we get any cipher text. Let's say then if we do c power e, okay, that is c power e, we are exchanging the exponents here. D is going here and e is coming here for reversing the process. Like what we want is this, that private key be used for encryption, public key for decryption. Okay, so to the private key will be used here for encrypting the message, and we will get here the cipher text. Okay, then cipher text power d, okay, which not d, it is e. So e is our public key. Okay, so what is being or what we will originally get here is c is replaced with what? M power d. So m power d power e, we will get m power e cross d mod n, which is not anything else but e cross d is 1 under modulo n. So we get m power 1. Okay, so we get the original message. So you can see if the exponent orders are changed, it doesn't matter, it doesn't affect our answer, because this is you can say a symmetric multiplication of e and d, okay, in the powers. So that will not affect our answer. So we get to see that private key can be used for encryption as well as decryption, and same for the public key. Okay, this is clear. Okay, so this is how a message is being encrypted and decrypted. First, the message is pre-processed and converted into blocks of messages, because long messages cannot be encrypted. It is a range of some, like the integers should be in a range to be able to convert. Like what we are doing here. See, if it is hello world, we are getting the H ASCII character, E ASCII character, then appending them, right? If it is very long, that we will having very large number. So the message will be very large, and we will not be able to do the arithmetic algorithms, exponential algorithms on that number. Okay, it will also overflow the integer limit. That's why we create the block of uh, words from it. Okay, okay, and this is thing. Okay, this is how the uh, this is how the first private key and public key generation and their encryption decryption process works in RSA algorithm. Now, what is the caveat in asymmetric key exchange algorithm? First, we will need to understand that what is the asymmetric key used for, right? So it is used for the safe exchange of the symmetric key. Okay. So, but we do not know here who we are exchanging to, right? Let's say if I want to start a TCP connection to, let's say, google.com, but let's say for some reason there is a like uh, you can say someone attacks in the middle, like someone is sitting on the router, you can say, and see our message, okay, in the ISP or something. uh, so they can see, like they can intercept our messages, like the first TCP connection itself, like the client hello it is sent by the client, okay, will be received by the man in the middle. Okay, let's say him attacker. Okay, the attacker gets your client hello message before it is being passed to the Google. Now what will he will do is he will send his own public key to you. Now you do not know who sent you, is it google.com or the attacker? You do not know. He will generate his own public key and private key, and he will send you the public key of himself to you, and you will be encrypting your symmetric key and send it to the attacker. You do not know here who is the original web server, it is like legitimate or not. Okay, you are not sending to google.com, you are sending it to the attacker, you do not know. So your encrypted symmetric key goes to the attacker, the attacker gets it, decrypt the message, and gets the symmetric key. Now your TCP connection is made to the attacker, right? The client, the TLS handshake is being done with the attacker. Now the attacker will again like consequently and chain will create its own TCP connection with the Google. Okay, it is as a client, it will be the client to the Google, and the Google will make connection to it. Okay, so now what will happen is if you send any message, the attacker will be like you can say like there will be two threads. One it will be using for himself to decrypt and see the content of the message, and one it will be using to send the message to the Google server and get reply back and deassemble the packet, gets the data in it, and like create another data segment with its connection to the client, like the original client. Okay, and send it into the tunnel. So the client here does not know who he is communicating to, right? Okay, Okay, that we got. Okay, so what happens here is the attacker can attack, like, okay. So what is the difference in use case when using asymmetric key and using certificate? Okay, asymmetric key only ensures that you are sending the symmetric key securely, but it does not ensure who you are sending it to. Okay, and certificate, so the digital certificates ensure that who is the owner of the public key. Okay, if you send a client hello message to someone on the web server, the web server will reply with the public key, but you do not have here until you do not have the guarantee who sent you the public key, who is the owner of the public key. Is it a legitimate party? No, it is not. It cannot, it may not be. Okay, that's what certificate authority ensures, like the digital certificates ensures who is the owner of the public key. Okay, so this is the difference why we need a digital certificate in the TLS handshake, you can say. Okay, so we have covered until here, right? Okay, no, yeah, we have covered until point 3. Okay, so before we move on to the fourth point, uh, I will highly recommend to watch this video first, which tells the overall the end-to-end flow of the how certificate authority works. So basically I will explain what is needed to understand so the need of certificate authority, right? The fourth point. So what happens until now, until the certificate authority was not introduced? So the public key was sent from the server to the client in rough text. Okay, it was not encrypted or something signed, or you can say. So it was sent as it is. Okay, without any encryption from the server to the client. But due to with the introduction of certificate authority, the digital certificates, what happens now is here comes the signing process. Okay, the signing is the same kind of thing as happened in the asymmetric encryption, but the opposite keys are used. Like the private key is used for encryption, and public key is used for decryption. So what happens is, let's say a certificate, there is a CA, okay, and there is a web server, let's say google.com, okay. So google.com needs to get the public key get encrypted, means it needs to get signed, not only encrypted, I will say. It needs to be signed with other information also, like the organization entity name, where does it belong to, okay. All it's a valid I would say documents that needs to be verified first by the certificate authority, and then it will sign the uh, public certificate of the server, which is google.com here, okay. So once it signs it, happens in the signing process itself is the CA will take the public key of the server, the web server, okay, and also other information related to the entity which wants to get its certificate issued. So like the organization name, where is it host, its headquarters, and so on. And it will verify against its database if if the web server is legitimate or not. Once it is verified, it will first of all it will has the information of the web server which is requesting the CSR, okay, that is certificate request. So it will has the information, it could be SAR 56 or something else algorithms, and once it is hashed, it will encrypt the hashed certificate with its private key, okay, CA private key. It will encrypt the certificate. Now what the CA will return to the web server, okay, it will contain this following information, as you can see on the screen: the issued to, okay, issued from, this will be the name of the CA, and this is the server public key, which is in non-encrypted form, and this is the signed certificate. Here here not only the server public key, but other information are also there. First they are hashed and they are encrypted with the CA private key, and then it is generated the signed certificate, okay. Okay, now the web server will send the certificate to the client, okay, along with its public key. Now the client will check if the parent certificate, that is the CA that has signed the certificate to the web server, is already present in the client store, that is trusted client store, okay, root certification authority. These are the trusted root CAs. These are installed on the system by the user itself or by GPU policies. So this will ensure that if a certificate that a web server is using has its parent CA as as in this following list, then that certificate will be trusted. Otherwise, the machine will reject the web server TCP connection. Okay, because it is the certificate C, the root CA that has signed the certificate is not present in this list. So the client will verify that first, and will if it is verified, then it will extract the public key out of it, the out of the root CA. Okay, and then use it to decrypt. Okay, decrypt the signed certificate. Once it is decrypted, so we will get the hash of the web server certificate. Okay, so the hash, we will calculate the hash of the certificate same as the CA had calculated earlier. Okay, and if the both has matched, then then we are sure that the certificate is valid. Okay, and we will proceed with the TLS handshake and reply like we are fine with your certificate, and we can maintain the TCP connection. The client will trust on the web server. So this is how the overall process works. Now we will come here later. Okay, we have covered, I guess, seventh point. How does, okay, for fifth and sixth are remaining. Okay, So let's say let's first cover 8 point. Where is this trusted CA search stored? I have already presented you. Like here we store the trusted CA. You can install manually yourself. Like these all three are installed by myself. So and okay. So now let's go to the intermediate CA certificate authority. Okay. Like I will show you the chaining how it is done. Okay. So this was installed by myself. Okay. You can see the certification path that this is the let's assume that this is the web server and it's a public certificate was signed by this uh it was signed by this intermediate CA, and this gets its certificate signed by this root CA. Okay, so this is the chain of certificates. So what happens is why is this intermediate certificate was introduced was because due to mainly two reasons. First of all, the scalability, they could scale their system, and the second one was to delegate to mitigate, means to avoid the risk of compromising. If the private key of the root CA is compromised, okay, then what will happen is the root CA covers many clients. Okay, if the intermediate CA is not introduced, then the root CA will itself gets invalidated. So to mitigate the risk to a lower mass of like if the uh, if an intermediate CA private key is compromised, then not many client will like the web server will be affected by that. So that's why we introduced the intermediate CA. That is also the reason. Okay, so we have covered the chaining works and need of intermediate certificate authority. And what is the difference between personal and trusted store is that in the trusted store, we generally store the cert files, that is the root CA certificates, the public certificates. And in the personal store, we keep this is for device posture, to check if the device, this is something else. It is not related to web server communications, web server and client communication. It is for device posture. If the device is in good posture, the uh, computer owners can install some certificates on the computer to verify if it is a if the computer can be trusted or not. Okay, so this is it. What is signing a certificate? What the difference between signing and encryption? We have already covered. Now we will go to the certificate, how to create a certificate chain, including intermediate certificates in the process. Okay, now we will cover one by one the commands that are used to create a certificate chain, including this intermediate certificate. So first we will take this command. Okay, we will go to the OpenSSL command prompt. You can open it by searching in the Windows search and get it open if you install it correctly. And we will issue the command. This command, what it will do is it will create a private key of the root CA. Okay, using the RSA algorithm. It is prompting me to enter the password. Okay, we have created the root CA private key. We can see it here. Okay, you can see it here, the root CA private key. Okay, now what we will do is the second command. So the second command, it will do is it will create a self-signed certificate, self-signed root CA certificate. So this, so what happens in the if you are signing a, like if it is a web server that is requesting for the certificate to be signed. So what happens in that case is some intermediate CA or root CA sign the certificate. Okay, so we use the private key of the parent certificate. Okay, not the server certificate itself. So if a web server raises CSR, okay, then the private key of the intermediate CA or the root CA will be used to sign its certificate. But here the root CA does not have any its parents, any of its parents. Okay, so what we will do is we will create a self-signing request. So here the root CA will root CA private key will be used to sign the root CA certificate. Okay, so this certificate is signing the its certificate by himself. Okay, so this is the way we identify if a CA is root or not. Okay, so here we will create the root CA certificate and saving it into the file root ca3.crt. Okay, here asking for password. Let's name the country in Punjab, Ali. Oh, let's name it something like uh, something. Let's say Tom, Tom, Tom. Okay. Email address to be tom@gmail.com. Okay. We have self-signed the certificate. Now we will do is we will create the intermediate CA private key using the RSA algorithm again. We will enter the password. So in this command, what the literal means is like this X509 is meant to create a self-signing certificate, is used to tell the OpenSSL that I want to create a self-signed certificate. Nodes, a new means you have to create a new certificate. You do not have to modify the existing certificate. Nodes means you do not want to encrypt the certificate. And the key that is being used to sign the certificate, the private key, is the root CA key itself. Okay. And this is the hashing algorithm that is being used. And these are the number of days that this certificate will be valid up to. Okay, and this out this the file that this certificate will be written to. So we are here. So we have generated the intermediate CA private key out of the RSA algorithm. Okay. Now the next step is to create a CSR. So the CSR means a certificate signing request. Okay, so here it is. Okay, it is not copied. So what happens if let's say this was not intermediate CA, it was the web server itself. So it will raise a request to the root CA, okay, a root CA to sign its certificate. So to raise the request, it needs to send some file, and this is the file that this the web server will be sending to. Here it is intermediate CA, so intermediate CA will create its public certificate using this command, and it will be saved into this file, and this file will be the certificate signing request to this root CA. Okay, and this CSR is generated using the intermediate CA private key. We will name the issuer, that is issued from. Okay, name issued to to be like country name in, let's name it Punjab. Locality name to be same, organization name to be Jerry. Okay, email address to be jerry@gmail.com. Let's skip this. Okay, we have generated this intermediate CA self signing sorry certificate signing request. Now this command, what it will do is, let's make it little small. Okay, what it does is uh, the here the root CA private key. Okay, and it's a public key. This is the public key, this is the private key. Okay, so these public, not only the public key, this also contains the root CA other information like the organization name and details, and this is the private key of the root CA certificate. Okay, these are being used to create the roots to sign the intermediate CA certificate. Okay, CSR. And why you would say why this root CA is public key and private key is required. So as I said, like private key would be clear, like private key, the parent certificate, private key is used to sign the certificate of the child certificate. Okay, but why is this public key, like public certificate, being used? So this is used to include the information uh, in the child certificate, who this certificate was issued from, like the organization name. Like here the Jerry is getting his certificate issued from Tom, so the name of the organization is Tom that is issuing the certificate. That should be included in the client certificate. That's why we are using this public certificate also. And after that is done, this is optional, this is used to create the serial number, you can omit that. And once it is generated, so the file should be output to this intermediate ca.crt. Okay, okay, okay. So and then the validity is 1825 days. Hashing algorithm is SHA-256. So by default, OpenSSL does not create a client certificate using the root CA. The root CA does not give the permission to create further certificates to the intermediate CAs. Like here, the Tom is issuing the certificate to the Jerry, right? But it does not give the permission to create further certificates, further child certificates uh, to the intermediate CA. It does not give the permission by default, OpenSSL. So we need to use some config file to bypass that. Okay, and this is the section in that config file that is being used to sign the certificate. I will show you the this OpenSSL file itself. This is the section that we are referring to. Okay, no, not this one, v3c. Okay, so here you can see that CA is true, that the certificate that is like the Jerry certificate, right? The certificate, the intermediate certificate can be regarded as a CA, means it can sign further certificates. So this has been given the permission to the intermediate CA with these literals. You can, if you omit this, you cannot sign further certificates with the intermediate CA certificate. Okay, okay. So this will create an intermediate CA certificate. Okay, it is asking for the private key password. Okay, we have generated so far these files. Okay, this is not you can delete this. Okay, these two are the, okay, these all are we have generated. After that, we need to generate the client private key. Okay, we need to generate the client private key. Then we will again raise a request. Okay, okay, here I am missing some steps. The client CSR is not here, so we will need to create the CSR for the client also. I am missed here, I guess one step. Here it should be, I guess, client key, and where it should be client CSR. Okay, so this command should be issued first. Same process is there as for creating the client intermediate CSR as for the client CSR. So we will generate the client CSR. Let's enter the password. Let's name it something. Let's name it Punjab Ali. Let's name it the organization name to be website. Okay. Good. Email address to be website@gmail.com. Let's get this. So we have generated the client CSR. Same we will do with the client as we did with the intermediate CA. Here the CSI will be signed using the intermediate CA certificate. Okay, it's private and public key, as we can see here. For the intermediate CA, it was signed by the root CA. Okay, here it is signed by the intermediate CA. So the parent CA signs the child certificate, client CRT. Okay, there is same configuration we are using. Like you can omit this because if you are not if you do not want the child to issue for the certificate. Okay, okay, let's do this then. Okay, see here v3 CA, v3 rec, right? So this will not allow the client CA, means the website CA, website certificate to sign for the certificates. Okay, let's enter the password. So we have created the client certificate, right? Now this is optional. Like in the Windows itself, to package the private key and the public key together, we need to the format for it is pfx file, so we need to package them there. So for that we need to issue this command. Like here what will be done is it will create a client pfx file using the private key of the client and the certificate, the public certificate of the client. Okay, and it will also include the root cs certificate in that uh, pfx file. Okay, if it is omitted, what will you will get a you will get a chaining error. Like it will not be able to identify the root CA. It cannot chain up to the root CA. This intermediate CA is omitted in the command. Okay, let's enter the password. This is the export command. Like if the pfx file is installed in the personal file, okay, personal store, then it will ask for the password to export this. Okay, we have. I guess I am done here. Now we can see the certificates here. Okay. So the next step is to install the root CA3 file, the cert file into the trusted root CA authority, the client store. So if you do not do that, let's see what is the result. Let's say we want to install this pfx file into the personal store, right? Let's do this. So we have imported that file into the personal store. You can see that this is the behavior we get. We get the certification path, that is the chain we have created, but it says that this certificate cannot be verified up to a trusted certification authority. So for that, what it says is the root CA for this client certificate, that is website certificate, is not enlisted in this trusted root CA CA authority, right? In here we do not have any CA that that has we do not have the root CA that has signed the client certificate. That's why it is saying that this certificate cannot be trusted. Okay. So for that, what we need to do is we need to first we have to first install this certificate, root CA certificate, into the trusted root CA client store. For that, we need to install this current user. So we need to install it here in the trusted root CA authority. Okay, good. Finish. So it is asking for the permission again. Yes, import was successful. Okay, now we need to close this, reopen it. Now you can see that we have do not have the cross sign here now. You can see that this is a valid chain, and this ensures the identity of a remote computer, proves your identity to a remote computer. Okay, so this certificate is for that. I already told you that is not for the client web server communication, where the client validates the identity of the server. Okay, so this is how it is done. Okay, now we can see that in the trusted root CA list we have the tom itself. Okay, this C. So what it does is it checks in the personal store. Okay, it goes from here, like website, it searches for the signing authority for the website and sees that Jerry is there, but Jerry is not in the trusted root CA. But Jerry, it does not check until it gets the self-signed certificate. So it checks the issuer of the Jerry, then it checks the issuer of the Tom, then it checks the issuer of the Tom, and it finds that the Tom is a self-signed certificate. So it will check that if the root CA is present in the trusted root store or not. If it is present, then this certificate is valid, otherwise not. Okay, so this is it, I guess. One thing I wanted to clear is that, like as I said, the certificate is not used to verify the identity of the web server. Okay, it is the trusted root CA that is in the client store, that is here in the trusted roots certification authority, that a CA will be present to verified against. So if a web server sends its certificate, then its root CA will be matched against this store and not this personal store. Okay, so this certificate can be used to verify it's the client identity to a server. Like it could be possible that server also want to verify the client identity, the client certificates. So in that scenario, client can send this certificate from the personal store to the web server. So then the web server similarly can verify the identity of the certificate by going up in the chain and checking that root C is in its trusted root store or not.